travel through time, would you go forward or backward? Could going to the past erase the future and change it for the better or for the worst? Traveling to the future, on the other hand, would allow you to see where mankind eventually evolves into, like in The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every new sub helps us achieve our goal and keeps us motivated to create new content. With that being said, I'm your host, Jamie, and here are 10 must-see time travel movies. Number 1, Project Almanac. The sci-fi thriller film Project Almanac was released in 2015 to mixed reviews. The film was director Dean Israelite's debut film, and he didn't do too bad considering. He went with a found footage aesthetic, which didn't always work, but the premise is intriguing. Side note, I am a fan of his 2017 Power Rangers film reboot. Project Almanac follows David Raskin, high school science whiz, who finds his late father's designs for a temporal displacement device. They are designs for a time machine, guys. So he decides to make it, and it works. Now, we all know time travel has repercussions, but seeing that Project Almanac is a thriller, the filmmakers are a bit dramatic with it, like any changes at all makes things worse. They are really trying to beat the viewer over the head with the moral about not messing with time travel. The film was ultimately a minor hit for Paramount, grossing $36 million in ticket sales on a $12 million budget. Filmmaker Michael Bay, who directed films like Bad Boys and 2007's Transformers, his production company, Platinum Dunes, produced Project Almanac. So that means it looks good. You can check it out on Fubo, Google Play, Prime, and Fandango. Number 2, Interstellar. Christopher Nolan blessed us with another sci-fi epic in 2014. But instead of taking us inside the mind, he took us to outer space with Interstellar. Nolan is known for masterfully taking complex concepts and simplifying them for the average moviegoer, while not insulting our intelligence. My honest opinion about the film is that it's not as heady as people think, nor as concise as it should be. But that's a minor critique. Interstellar is a technical marvel with standout performances from its cast, which include Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, Matt Damon, John Lithgow, Michael Caine, Timothée Chalamet, and Mackenzie Foy. And you can't go wrong with a Hans Zimmer score, which is perfectly ethereal and beautiful for the film. Interstellar partially takes place in 2067, and humanity is facing a global extinction due to increasing inclement weather and food shortages due to corrupt light. Michael Caine plays a NASA physicist who's going to send the population of Earth through a wormhole. On the other end of said wormhole are 3 planets of possible habitability. But first, former astronaut Cooper, played by McConaughey, is tasked with his team to go through and figure out which planet is most suitable to revitalize the human race. The time dilation aspect in Interstellar is one of the concepts of the film that utilizes it brilliantly. There's been this theory thrown around in astrophysics that ghosts are actually just people from the future or another dimension attempting communication. And Interstellar also plays with that concept. And you can check it out on Disney+, Prime, Google Play, and Fandango. Number 3, Planet of the Apes. The modern Planet of the Apes films, which exceed the original series, make no bones about the fact that the planet run by apes is in fact Earth. But the 1968 film's incredible plot twist was that the Planet of the Apes was Earth all along. The film itself is a hallmark sci-fi film, but one of the greatest twists of a generation is now casual knowledge. Planet of the Apes opens with astronauts who crash land on an unknown planet that is run by highly evolved apes. The time travel in this film isn't in the literal sense, but done through applied theory of relativity. The astronauts were traveling so fast, time for them was slowed down. So, from their point of view, they had traveled hundreds of years in the future unknowingly. The costumes and makeup are absolutely fantastic in Planet of the Apes. The story, the pacing, the entire production design is phenomenal. The worst thing about it is, honestly, Charlton Heston. Yes, he's the lead. But screen presence isn't a suitable replacement for bad acting. I'd still highly recommend this sci-fi classic, and you can catch these damn dirty apes on Amazon Prime, Google Play, and Fandango. Number 4, About Time. About Time is a romantic comedy from 2013 that fits comfortably into the genre with one little twist. Time travel is involved. I'll admit, I'm a sucker for a good rom-com, and seasoned rom-com filmmaker Richard Curtis executes About Time well. Many of you have probably shed a tear, laughed a laugh of catharsis, maybe even felt a twinge of romance from Curtis's work. His first directorial feature film, and now a holiday favorite, Love Actually, was quite novel in its narrative structure at the time. The film was a series of intertwining vignettes buoyed by a star-studded cast. Arguably, the best film of that trend too. Curtis primarily served as screenwriters for classic 90s and early 2000s rom-coms, including 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones's Diary, and the aforementioned Love Actually. About Time follows the lovelorn Tim Lake, who is informed by his father, James, that he has the ability to time travel. But he is warned that he shouldn't try to change the past. No attempting to amass fame or wealth. Tim understands and figured he'd just try to improve his love life and sets his sights on his younger sister's friend Charlotte. About Time, while a fairly by-the-numbers rom-com, wins because of its attention to detail. Changing one thing generally affects other things, and the chain of causality is logical, making the film an intriguing experience if all you're interested in is the time travel aspect. Tim is played by Domhnall Gleeson and Charlotte by Rachel McAdams, both award-winning performers with stage presence and on-screen chemistry. Gleeson evokes pathos and McAdams enamors the viewer, so plenty of authentic sentiment is felt. About Time is about moving on from the past and living in the moment, and it really nails that message beautifully. You can experience it on Netflix, Google Play, Fandango, and Prime. Number 5, Army of Darkness. In 1981, Sam Raimi gave the world the original Cabin in the Woods film, The Evil Dead. The original film sees 5 college students vacation at a rather rustic cabin in the woods. In it, they find the Naturum Demonato, or the Necronomicon, as well as a tape recorder of an archaeologist reading incantations. That's when things start to go haywire. The Evil Dead introduces us to Ash Williams in his most reserved stages on his way to becoming the horror icon we know now. Bruce Campbell would infuse the role and tone with his own humor and sensibilities as the series progressed. The iconic Ash we've all come to know and love really began in Evil Dead 2, when he came into his role as a snarky Deadite killer. He also got his iconic chainsaw hand after cutting his own off in Evil Dead 2. Ash would go on to become the iconic destroyer of Deadites through Raimi's original trilogy, as well as the equally bloody awesome series Ash vs. the Evil Dead, which deserves more seasons. Army of Darkness is the 3rd chapter in Raimi's trilogy. The film sees Ash travel back to the medieval ages with nothing but his wit, his chainsaw, oh good, and his broomstick, hell yeah. He must retrieve the Book of the Dead amidst fighting the undead in order to return home. And you can watch The Army of Darkness on Prime, Google Play, and Fandango. Number 6, Primer. Primer initially screened at Sundance in 2004 before it secured a distribution deal with the independent film distribution company Think Film. Primer won the Grand Jury Prize Dramatic at Sundance as well. The film was shot on a micro budget of $7,000, which makes it an even more impressive achievement. In the limited release, Primer took in over $800,000, which means it grossed over 100 times its budget. Writer-director Shane Carruth also produced, edited, scored, and starred in the film. It was filmed with a crew of 5 over a 5-week shoot. But the post-production was 2 years of grueling work for Carruth. Primer follows 2 engineers, Aaron and Abe, who do techie side projects in their spare time. In the midst of their engineering, they fashion a machine that creates rudimentary time travel on a small scale. Aaron and Abe then build one on a larger scale. Even though they don't travel far in the past, it still has massive repercussions. What Primer highlights are unexpected, even drastic consequences of messing with time travel. An example from the film is that both Aaron and Abe's handwriting becomes worse. Carruth, who plays Aaron, graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University with a degree in mathematics. He does not hold back on the technical jargon, and him and his co-star, David Sullivan, the only professional actor in the cast, sound extremely natural in their dialogue delivery. Primer also has an amateur documentary aesthetic that only adds to its feeling of authenticity. I'd love to hear some layman's terms discussion in the comments on this film, and you can experience Primer on Google Play and Prime. Number 7, X-Men: Days of Future Past. Before reigniting the superhero genre with a modern take on X-Men, Bryan Singer was best known for his cult hit The Usual Suspects. His inexperience with special effects was actually a strength for X-Men, as he used CGI cautiously and in a calculated manner, even seeking out advice from the likes of Steven Spielberg. Suffice it to say, he was more interested in world building, engaging storytelling, and memorable characters. He directed X-Men and X2. Unfortunately, he was largely uninvolved in the franchise until 2014's X-Men: Days of Future Past. This is arguably the greatest team-up film in one of, if not the greatest, comic book films ever. Why it's not talked about more is beyond me. The film was released in May of 2014 with widespread acclaim, as well as adoration from comic book films, calling it the best X-Men film to date. X-Men: Days of Future Past is based on the beloved 1981 comic of the same name written by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. The film takes place in a future dystopia in which man-made machines called Centennials, originally designed to kill mutants, now discriminately kill everyone. It's up to a group of surviving X-Men who have found a way to travel into the past and stop this travesty from where it started. This involves transferring Wolverine into his past self and seeking out Professor X and Magneto to work together, when they couldn't be further apart. Much like its predecessor, X-Men First Class, which was also an understated gem, it is a period piece that creatively weaves actual history into its narrative. I have been an X-Men fan since the original film and have seen pretty much everyone in theater. Seeing the original cast as well as new ones come together was thrilling and nostalgic. Even aside from that, X-Men: Days of Future Past is an emotional and poignant mediation on fate. It's also an incredible action film with tour de force performances from James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, who portray the younger versions of Professor X and Magneto. You can stream it on Disney+, Prime, Google Play, and Fandango. Number 8, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. James Cameron's magnum opus, Terminator 2: Judgment Day, is not simply a sublime sequel that exceeds the original masterpiece, but it is one of the greatest films ever made. Cameron's director's cut is widely regarded as the definitive version of Terminator 2, as it adds pathos and more emotional weight to an already phenomenal film. The original Terminator, released in 1984, is a sci-fi classic that was only really held back by its budget. While Cameron got crafty and creative with its practical effects, there are aspects that do not hold up. Cut to 7 years later, it's the summer of 1991, and cinema is about to radically shift. Terminator 2 is released to a massive critical and commercial success. Even though Cameron sold the rights for Terminator to Columbia TriStar, he got first crack at a sequel, and he went all out. The studio took a chance on a bigger script that required groundbreaking visual effects, which ultimately paid off in spades. The film takes place nearly a decade after the original, and John Connor is now a precocious teen, and Sarah Connor is tough as nails. But she's in a mental institution. A new robot, the T-1000, is sent back in time to kill John. But this time, the T-800 is sent back to protect John Connor, which really shakes up the drama. Even beyond being a technical masterpiece, Terminator 2 has a poignant narrative and pitch-perfect emotional performances from everyone. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays a robot. So catch the sci-fi classic on Fubo, Sling, Prime, Google Play, and Fandango. Number 9, Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko sees Jake Gyllenhaal play the titular character in his breakout role. The story follows Donnie Darko, who sees a demonic rabbit, and in a trance-like state follows him out into a golf course one night. At the same time, an unidentified engine crashes into Donnie's room, which would have likely killed him had he not been there. Donnie Darko is an existential drama that is also part horror and sci-fi, but because all these elements are tied to themes of time and fate, the film works. It's engaging, thought-provoking, criticizing everything from the superficiality of suburbia to religious hypocrisy. And it is also quite evident that Donnie is not only a genius, but suffers from severe clinical depression. It might be odd to say it, but I am one of the many cult fans of this film. I saw it when I was in high school and have watched and analyzed it from so many angles. This was director Richard Kelly's Lightning in a Bottle. It was also produced by Drew Barrymore, who also had a starring role, and Seth Rogen has a brief role in it as well. I often wonder how its success would have changed had it not been released around 9/11. Time turns out to be more than just a motif, but the engine that crashed was from a plane on the alternate timeline created by Frank the Rabbit, who is an actual person in the film. So travel over to Tubi, Pluto, Plex, Freevee, Sling, Fubo, the CW, Disney Plus, Google Play, Fandango, and Prime to check it out. Number 10, Back to the Future. The Steven Spielberg produced Robert Zemeckis classic Back to the Future brought time travel to the mainstream in a way not seen since the original Star Trek series. The beloved smash hit Back to the Future garnered widespread praise from audiences and critics alike. Although Zemeckis conceived the idea in 1980 with frequent collaborator Rob Gale, they had trouble getting it off the ground. When Back to the Future was released in the summer of 1985, all detractors were proven wrong as it was the year's biggest film, grossing nearly $400 million globally. The film follows an adventure of Marty McFly and his elderly friend Emmett Doc Brown. Doc Brown is a quirky scientist that has invented a time machine using a souped-up DeLorean and is powered by plutonium. Once the desired date is set, the vehicle has to hit 88 miles per hour to travel in time. So Marty's in the DeLorean with Doc as he's escaping terrorists when they accidentally trigger time travel, arriving in 1955. Quick question, what the fuck is this movie actually? Also, what does Doc Brown get into? He's friends with a teenager, has access to plutonium, and has terrorists after him. This is a family flick, right? Regardless, it's an absolute blast. Did I mention it's a classic? Michael J. Fox, who portrays Marty, and Christopher Lloyd, who portrays Doc Brown, have an incredible dynamic. They embody their characters and set fire to the silver screen. Back to the Future really makes its temporal concepts palatable, and the average person's knowledge of time travel can probably be rooted to Back in the Future. My whole understanding of travel and creating alternate timelines originally came from this series. So head on over to Prime, Google Play, and Fandango to take an adventure. Thanks for checking out the video. Did we leave any films off the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with our latest releases. You can reach out to us on Twitter or X at StudiosFat, or chat with us on Discord, linked below. We're also now on Blue Sky. You can find us at studiosfat.bsky.social, which will also link below. If you're really enjoying our content and want to help support us, click that join button for exclusive content, rewards, and perks. Make sure to check out our very own merch store located at fatninja.shop. All proceeds go towards our next film project, so we'd greatly appreciate it. I've been your host, Jamie. Thanks again and take care.